Hello folks, this is Durag Wisdom welcoming you to Earth Date Y2K 19.10.23. William Weld is a conservative and he's running for president, hope that's in focus, on the Republican Party line against Trump. I mean, I consider him the most serious candidate running against this creep Trump in the GOP primary. As liberal as I consider myself, as progressive as I consider myself, I don't want a one-party system in our country. That would be terrible. That is totalitarianism. There are two things, main things, that I really hate. Racism and totalitarianism, which comes from my love of the works of Orwell and from my Bible 1984, which he wrote. We are human beings. We have so many different opinions you can't even imagine, and I do not presume to force people to follow whatever political point of view I have. Again, I don't want people to dictate to me what I should do according to what their point of view is. This is supposedly a free country, or we're trying to make it a free country, and people have choices and lifestyles, and everybody should be respected. With that in mind, I don't want to see the destruction of the GOP. I don't want to see a one-party system. And again, Bill Weld, who I have here, I took out some information on him, and I'm going to share some of this with you. Because if you are conservative, or if you know people who are conservative, please share with them the fact that this creep in the White House, he's not a conservative, he is a fraud, he is a con person, a Nazi birther scum, who's misrepresenting himself as a conservative. William Floyd Weld, he was born July 31st, 1945. And he's, according to this here, he's an American, he was or is an American attorney, which means he knows about the law. Personally, I believe only people who know about the law should run for office and run the country. Businessman and Republican politician, he served as the 68th governor of Massachusetts from 1991 to 1997. And he's currently running for the Republican nomination for President of the United States in Y2K20. So if you have any conservatives out there, let them know there's an alternative to this freaking creep in there, this fraud, this racist traitor. Now, he's a Harvard and Oxford graduate. Smart. We don't want somebody incompetent in there that doesn't know how to read or write or read books. He was legal counsel to the United States House Committee on the Judiciary before becoming the United States Attorney for the District of Massachusetts, and later the United States Assistant Attorney General for the Criminal Division. He worked on a series of high-profile corruption cases, and he later resigned in protest of an ethics scandal associated with the investigation of Attorney General Edwin Meese. When Governor Weld became involved in presidential politics in later years. In Y2K16, he left the Republican Party to become the Libertarian Party running mate for former Governor of New Mexico, Gary Johnson. And they received nearly 4.5 million votes. The highest amount for a Libertarian candidate ticket. I got this from the great Wikipedia, by the way, or Wikipedia, sorry. Now, he was born, William Weld, Smithtown, New York. Weld's father, David, was an investment banker. His mother, Mary Nichols Weld, was a descendant of William Floyd, one of the signers of the U.S. Declaration of Independence. His ancestor, Edmund Weld, was among the earliest students, class of 1650, at Harvard College. 18 other Welds have attended Harvard, and 2 Harvard buildings are named for the family. A distant cousin, General Stephen Minot Weld Jr., fought with distinction in the Civil War. This is who's running against Trump. Not a clown, not a lowlife. I'm not saying he's perfect. Hey, if he was running for president against a liberal Democrat, I would vote for the liberal Democrat. But if Weld were to win, I wouldn't be cursing at my TV every day every time I saw him. He was a U.S. attorney for Massachusetts, and there's a whole bunch of stuff in here about him. Ronald Reagan, he worked, and I hate Reagan. He's one of the things I hate. I think he was part of what's turned the Republican Party bad, basically. And in 1986, Reagan promoted Weld to head the criminal division of the Justice Department in Washington, where Weld oversaw 700 employees. Ladies and gentlemen, he was governor of Massachusetts again from 1991 to 97. He's written books. Trump doesn't even read. I don't know what kind they call that here in Wikipedia there. Weld has written mass market novels. Stillwater, 2003. Microbe by Moonlight, 1999. And it's something called The Big Ugly, 2002, which I think is some kind of a satire. I'm going to check it out. Okay, this is what Weld supposedly stands for. And this comes from the PBS NewsHour. Supports cutting taxes and reining spending, opposes the Trump tariffs. He is a fiscal conservative as opposed to a social conservative. But Weld, on the other hand, is a fiscal conservative. So on social issues, he supports gay marriage, LGBT rights, and abortion. Foreign policy supports non-nuclear proliferation efforts. Wants closer ties with Canada and Mexico. In healthcare, supports increased Medicaid access. So even though this guy's a fiscal conservative and believes in smaller government, he still can compromise, kind of. He can work with the other side and have a heart for people less fortunate and say, yeah, the government can take a hand in that. Immigration and border security, he absolutely opposes Trump's deportation policies, supports some form of legal status for undocumented immigrants living in the U.S. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said before, we want to keep our country free as possible. We want to keep it evolving. It's a relatively new democratic system. It's really what we call a constitutional democratic republic because we only have a choice between two parties. So there's an evolution involved here, which of course, prerequisite to evolution is that we stop being naked apes and start being more refined. But in any event, part of our becoming a more democratic society, a more democratic system, is not only becoming more humane and more wise and more harmonious, but it's also recognizing the various beliefs that all human beings have, and that we can work to compromise so that everybody can have something in what little time that they have. And William Weld, I respect this person. I'm going to donate something to his campaign, even though I vote against him. But I believe that this person makes Trump look like the tiny little microbe that Trump is and always will be. William Weld should be the Republican main nominee for the 2020 Y2K20 presidential nomination. Oh, folks, it must be scary to see my face so close like this. You know, it's around Halloween time, so, just want you to know that it's like you're watching a 3D horror movie. I just wanted to add that William Weld, I think I read someplace in one of his qualifications that he's got his name connected with some kind of company dealing with marijuana growth, legal, whatever it is. So the guy must support legalized marijuana as well. Please look that up. I don't want to give you any wrong information. But, you know, that's what people don't got to understand. When the word conservative is used, as liberal as I consider myself, when the word conservative is used, doesn't always mean what you think it means. Doesn't always mean some kind of stuck-up, constipated, religious extremist. William Weld is far from that. And you know, if he somehow became president of the country, I think you'd find something very unique about him, and I think we'd have a different opinion about... Am I out of focus here? I think I am. We'd have a different opinion about the Republican Party, which has been hijacked by these Trumpist morons.